Parents who've had breakthroughs with their children to show that real hope exists for alienated families. This is Breakthroughs.
It's Ryan Thomas, and welcome to Breakthroughs. This is where we share real stories of alienated parents who've had breakthroughs with their children to show that real hope exists for alienated families. And on today's show, we're going to talk with Tony. And Tony was able to reunite with her two daughters after 4 years of complete silence. And you're going to learn exactly how she reunited, what she did, what she didn't do, the strategies that she used to reconnect with both of her daughters, and the advice that she wants to share with other parents as a result of her success. And Tony, it's so great to have you here. Thanks so much for sharing your story. Now, for a little background, Tony was alienated from her oldest daughter, who was in her late 20s, as well as eventually her youngest daughter, who was in her late teens, also with no contact. And Tony, you didn't even know the term parental alienation until a friend suggested it to you. You started doing some research, you stumbled upon my work, you eventually enrolled in my online training program called the Playbook on Parental Alienation, now called the Reconnect Formula, and started really delving into that. So what would you say was your first and most important step in beating parental alienation?
For me, it was about educating myself and understanding what role I played, because I didn't realize, and I guess they do such horrible, terrible things to you, and you respond to that as any normal person would. They'd be, you know, it's terrible, some of the stuff they do. It's so hurtful, but every time you react to it, it reinforces what they've been taught to believe about you. It reinforces this story about you, which couldn't be further from the truth, is usually a projection of the other person entirely.
And as you started to really understand what was happening to your children, as you educated yourself, what would you say was the number one takeaway that ultimately led to the breakthrough that we're going to talk about in just a minute?
I stopped having expectations of an instant fix with the relationship. Like somehow I seem to think that if I just do this and they'll respond positively. I guess when it's built up in their mind like this, that's just not possible. They have so many entrenched issues. You can't just reconnect. And so my expectations changed, and the way I looked at them changed. And I think some of the things in your playbook, like sometimes you're so just wanting to express your love for your kids, and there's no way to do that. They've cut you off of their phone, and you're blocked on Facebook. The only communication I had left with my daughter was to write her a letter, and I couldn't write to her all the time. I didn't want to bombard her. I wanted to make really good use of the communications, and at an opportunity, like you'd said in your playbook, when they might be open to receiving it. So there were some key things like birthdays or Christmas, or just key opportunities that I wanted to capitalize on.
And you know, Tony, one of the things that I absolutely love about your story is how you dealt with the painful rejection that you felt. You know, with alienated parents, it takes such an emotional toll, a physical toll, that rejection. So share with everyone what you did to get yourself through that awful time.
I adopted this thing someone told me once, to love yourself sick. And so I just did all this stuff to get myself in a healthy place emotionally. And I'd learn a lot about what the kids were going through. And I think the key to that learning, something just clicked in my head that as much as what the kids were doing to me, I felt was terrible, they were a victim in this whole thing. And I think when I grasped that, and that was really through all the learnings on the playbook and understanding it from a child's point of view, what they're going through, I wasn't angry with them anymore for the horrible things that they would do to me. I could just, and I had to spend a lot of time educating my own family, because my whole family, like my kids grew up with my mum as their grandma, my sister and her 4 kids, my brother. Our entire family was cut off. And they were angry and hurt. And, you know, all of a sudden I'm saying to them, you know, you need to understand that my kids are being emotionally abused. They are victims of all of this. This is what you're witnessing is not them and their genuine heartfelt desires towards you. They are a victim of abuse. And that's hard for people to grasp unless they really educate themselves on parental alienation.
And you ultimately believe that this played a role in bringing both of your children back to you.
I think there's something really in getting yourself in a healthy place, because then you've got something to offer the kids and you're attractive to the kids when they're ready to come back.
Yep.
You don't have much to offer them when you're so broken. And that, I mean, it's terrible what it does. It does break you.
Yeah.
But you finding your own happiness, your kids are so attracted to that. And I can honestly say that now with my youngest daughter back in relationship with me, I know that she prefers to spend her time with me. And it's only been 5 months, and it's done a 180-degree turnaround. And for her, it took a long time she didn't want to admit that she might have been wrong, or she didn't want to seem disloyal, but you just sort of accept it and go with it, because anything to facilitate an open relationship, and what is it that they need? They don't want to feel guilty for what they've done. It'll just put a barrier there. So I think there's, you just take it on whatever level that they're able to give it at the time, and then it allows you to build on that.
Okay, so let's dive into what led to this series of breakthroughs that you had with your children. Now, up to this point, you have no contact with your oldest and your youngest daughter, and all of a sudden you find out that your oldest is getting married, and now there's a wedding that's going to happen. And of course, you find out that you're completely cut out of any of the wedding preparation. So you're not going to be looking at venues, you're not going to be looking at flowers, you're not going to be going dress shopping, all of those things that a mom and her daughter would typically do. Not only are you cut out, but you also find out that her stepmom and the soon-to-be mother-in-law, that they're filling that role. And so this is like alienation in overdrive, because here's a milestone that you want, and you know you're not a part of this. You're not going to be a part of this. And to add even another layer of to this story, you had actually been planning and saving your own personal money for your daughter's wedding since she was 2 years old. It's something that was a tradition that had been passed on. So here you are, saving all of this money, waiting for that day that this wedding happens, and you're planning it all, and you can say, here's all the money that you can put towards the wedding. But that didn't happen in your case. Tell us what happened with this money.
Through the course of our property settlement, one of the ways that my ex decided to punish me was to disperse, or to request the courts disperse this money to my girls at a time when they were full of hate towards me, and they would not acknowledge it or appreciate it. And in fact, he would get credit in their eyes for getting that from me for them.
Tony, so painful to listen to. I mean, that rejection, that all of your hopes and dreams just completely ruined. I mean, to be cut out at every turn. I know that we all feel that emotion, that sadness for you, and it would have been so easy for you to just lash out in that emotion and that anger and that frustration and disappointment, but you didn't lash out. So walk us through the strategy, because here's this potential pressure cooker of a wedding. What did you do? What was your strategy going into this wedding?
You know, I had listened to your playbook and about being the opposite, and I was trying to think, well, what is the story that's told about me? What are they perceiving about me as a person? And what do I need to show them? And for me, I just knew they think I brought drama, and because I would react to this terrible treatment of me. I'd be like, this is just appalling, and it was. But every reaction I gave them, they would go, see, she's ruined your day. Here's all the drama. Look what she's done. And it would just give them everything they wanted to be able to continue this story that I'm bad, everything about me is bad, I'm evil, So I just decided on this day that I was not going to react to any of that. I was going to go there, and I would seize any opportunity that I was given to connect with my kids, that I would just take the low road. I'd be humble, and I just wouldn't be seen as this emotional drama queen, because that's not who I am anyway. But I tell you what, it was hard. It was really tough.
Yeah, so incredibly hard. I can't even imagine. So difficult. Well, stay with us, because when we come back, we're going to get into all the details of the wedding and learn exactly how Toni handled herself at multiple instances and how that had a huge payoff for reuniting with both of her daughters. More on that when we come back. Stay with us. We'll be right back on Breakthroughs.
Are you ready to take massive action and create your own step-by-step action plan to reconnect with your alienated child? You might be interested in checking out my 5-week online video training program, The Reconnect Formula. Discover what to say, what not to say, how to use email and text to communicate better, and how to use social media to influence your child even if you've been blocked. This is the culmination of my experiences as an alienated child who reunited to help you build the relationship with your child again and get one step closer to reconnecting. So go ahead, check out my 5-week online video training program, The Reconnect Formula. Do you wish you could understand your alienated child better and how they think? Alienated children are like puppets on a string. In my book, The Alienated Mind, I give a complete breakdown of how the parent is stripped of all influence and completely dehumanized in the mind of the child, and how the alienator can transform a loving child into someone who says and does hurtful, awful things. And I would know because I was that child. Understanding your alienated child better will help you reach them. The Alienated Mind, a new book and audiobook available now.
And welcome back to Breakthroughs. I'm Ryan Thomas. Today we're talking with Toni, who reunited with her 2 daughters after 4 years of silence. So Toni has this wedding to go to for her oldest child. The youngest child, she has no communication, but she's going to this wedding, this potential pressure cooker, but she's determined that she is going to be the opposite of what everybody expects from her, her daughter and everyone else, and she is going to come in here and she is going to make the day all about her daughter, not do anything to allow herself to be baited into the trap of causing any type of drama or scene or chaos at the wedding, which is of course what the story is against her and what everybody is expecting. So Toni, on this day, one of the first encounters that you have, you're going into this, you're prepared yourself, and one of the first encounters that you have is you're walking along the street outside of the venue and you run into your ex. What happens?
He piped up and said to me, "Oh, my daughter is just getting ready, and she's just up there in the room. You feel free to go in and say hello." And I went, oh, okay. It was his permission giving, and part of me inside is going, how dare you give me permission? Like, this is my daughter. You know, you don't, who are you to tell me what I can do and not do with my, but on the other hand, I walked up the street and I'm thinking about this offer and I'm thinking, well, what will happen if I don't? I didn't want to go to that room. That room was, it would be like walking into a lion's den of Toni haters. But I knew if I didn't go, then the story would be, see, she didn't even come and see you on your wedding day. And I said to my partner, I'm going to go and I'm going to knock on that door and I'm going to see what happens. And he says, are you serious? And I went, yep, I'm going to do it. And I remember ringing that doorbell and my youngest daughter answered it and she heard my voice and she went, oh, well, and I said, oh, your dad and I just spoke in the street and he said to come and see you girls. Oh, well, I'll just have to talk to my other daughter. I'm not sure. She's in the shower. I'll have to let you know. And I said, that's okay. I'll wait. If it's a bad time, I can come back. It's fine. And so every time I would just try and bring down the level of anxiety. It's okay if you're busy, that's fine. You know, I was just walking past, your dad said to come and see you. So, and I did end up going into that room. I can tell you my anxiety was through the roof. I just tried to be as relaxed as I could by playing with my grandson, and I did silly things, like I got on all fours and played cards with him on the floor, and they felt as uncomfortable as I did, I can tell you. You know, they're having their hair and makeup done. There's, you know, here I am playing with my grandson on the floor, really as a way of distracting all the angst that was in the room. And then I've got the new partner. Oh, Tony, we're going to toast to Ashley here, and I'm on the floor on my hands, and here's a glass of champagne. You know, they just were so uncomfortable. And the hair and makeup people have said you can come back if you would like to have your makeup done. And, you know, I just didn't want to be there any longer. And so you don't let them know that you're struggling. You don't let them know that that is the most uncomfortable, difficult situation that you could ever be put in. And I've just said, oh, thank you so much, but I had a lot of trouble getting my hair appointment, and I did. And she changed her schedule for me, and I don't want to let her down. So, but thank you. You know, so, and what mother wouldn't want to be in the room with her daughter having her hair and makeup done on the day of her wedding? Of course you want to be there, but that's not your reality. And I left. I felt like I'd achieved what I needed to achieve. You know, I'd gone in there, I'd taken the opportunity that was presented, I didn't cause any dramas, I didn't allow any of that angst in the room to be an issue for her on her day, and I did make that whole day about her. I didn't want any bad memory on that day that I had contributed to in any way, shape or form.
I gotta say, such amazing restraint in that story, but honestly, that's just the beginning. After the wedding happens, after the ceremony, then what happens next?
I remember coming out of the church, I could see that all the photography everyone was gathering together to have photographs, and I paused for a long time, and that opportunity wasn't presented to me. And I had to walk away before I lost it, you know. I just went, you know, I'm not going to have photos with my daughter on her wedding day as the mother of the bride. I just have to accept that, and that's okay. And I'm going to go to the pub and have a drink. And off I went with my entire family. And I just thought, no, I'm not going to hang around here and be punished any longer. I accept, okay, that's the state of affairs, that's fine. One day she might look back on that and regret that decision, but I can't change it, and that's how it is. And I'm just going to head off, have a drink, come back when I'm feeling in control again.
I mean, what amazing restraint during this gut-wrenching time. I mean, just really amazing stuff. Now, let's share one more example of something that made a huge difference at this wedding, and it really came at the reception, right? Your ex comes over to you and he says,
if you would like to give a speech, I could go and talk to the MC for you, and I could arrange that for you. And I'm sitting there thinking, and then he says, I know this would be a very hard day for you. Could you imagine my reaction? Everything inside of me wanted to say, a very hard day for me? You've made this exactly like this. This is exactly what you wanted. And, you know, it took every bit of energy not to jump across the table and smack him in the face, because I was so angry. I'm thinking, you've created this. This is exactly what you wanted. And I didn't also want to put him in a position of power over me, and I'd learned how to not succumb to people's control, and I wasn't going to give him that. But I'd written my speech, and this is the things I had to do to prepare. I'd written it and put it in a card, and I knew I wasn't going to get that opportunity, but I had things I wanted to share with her, as any mother would on their wedding day. So I tackled it my own way, and then of course I'm given 10 minutes to, what am I going to do? And I just said to him simply, oh, thank you very much. I said, I haven't been included on this day at all. So I got to say that. And I'll have a think about it, because I wouldn't want to give a speech if Ashley didn't want me to give a speech. And that's the other thing. I could have said yes to that because of my own desire to give a speech. But then that could have been turned around on me. Oh, see, she's forcing her way in here, and she's taking, you know, you didn't even ask her to do that. So I just thought, no, I'm not going to give you 1 ounce of opportunity to turn anything around onto me.
And so instead, you approach the DJ so that it can be your daughter's decision, again, drama-free. You approach the DJ and you say what?
Look, my ex has just asked if I would like to give a speech. I said, I don't want to give a speech if Ashley doesn't want me to give a speech. So when you go to introduce the bridal party, would you simply ask her before she comes in, would she like me to give a speech? And if she says yes, add me to the speech list. And if she says no, please make sure she knows that I'm okay with that. That's okay with me, that I'm quite I'm happy either way, you know. So it takes a lot of humility. And I can tell you, when I got up there and gave that speech, the room went silent. A pin could have dropped. Everyone was like, oh, because it's so obvious what has been happening. And, you know, I did just share things that a loving parent would share about love and what it means to be treasured and valued and by a spouse, and how you grow together, all those sort of things. It wasn't this, it was a really heartfelt speech. And I know that that whole day, you know, and that remaining humble and true to myself, and just single-minded on the fact that I was not going to buy into any of the emotional barbs that get thrown your way, that I was just going to take every little opportunity that was given to me.
And you certainly did take every opportunity to do things, really, I think, in the best possible way that you could. Drama-free, you made it all about her. You literally did this perfectly. I couldn't be prouder of you.
It was those little things the things I could do, that I looked back on, and I was so proud of myself for not biting into the emotional crap that got dished my way, and just by not buying into it, by not having that story, everyone else can see. And this is the thing, like you feel like the whole world hates you, and quite frankly sometimes they do, but all of those people at that wedding could see by my behaviour that there was a huge injustice being done to me.
And this is what I love. When you were the opposite of what your daughter and everyone else expected you to be, it created a light bulb moment. It made them question how they thought about you, because you didn't do what they all expected you to do. It made them start to question everything. And then you automatically kind of slowly start seeing the results and the improvements, the success of this. Tell us what happened the day after with your daughter.
Up to that point, she'd been building a house, and she hadn't wanted me to know where that was. She'd wanted to keep that a secret, in the same way that she'd wanted to exclude me from my grandson. They really were trying to cut me out of their life. And at the end there, she said to me, "Oh, Mum, do you have time to stay around?" She said, her partner and her would like to show me and my partner her house. And I just went, yeah, sure. Now, we didn't really have time, but you take the opportunity because it might not be coming back. So we stayed, and she took us to her house, and that was a result of just staying true to that desire of not biting into anything. And I just wanted people to see me for the person I was, and not for what they were being told.
Amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing. And now you're on the path to start having a normal, loving relationship with this daughter. And I'm just so excited. But we also have to talk about your youngest daughter, because at this point you still have no communication, no contact. I mean, you saw her at the wedding, but nothing really changed. So what happened after the wedding with your youngest daughter?
A week after that wedding, I went overseas, and I was thinking about her, and I wrote her a card from overseas. And I still didn't hear back from her. And I used those questions that you had in your playbook. So when I would write to them, I would really think about where they were at, and what my last communication was, and what question could I weave into my letter that might trigger some thought process for them, you know, just really thinking about where they were at with everything. The message I got back from her, which was at least a text message, I had not got any response to many letters, many gifts, all of my attempts, just nothing. But the text message I got was quite an angry one. After all you've done, and you did this to me, and you did that to me, and I don't think there is any, after all of that, there is no role that you can play in my life. That's what I got. And, you know, it is hard getting that, but I did remember in your playbook, I remembered that that was a positive because she responded, right? As much as that was really hard to read and it sort of made me believe there was no hope, that was more than I'd got before. And it obviously struck a nerve with her.
Absolutely. It's all about finding those milestones, getting just one step closer and ahead of where you are right now. So to some people, if they have no contact, just hearing even a nasty comment back is progress. If you get nasty comments, how do you try to move it into more positive interaction? So you played that perfectly. And so then you found out that your daughter was starting a new job. So you decided, you know what, I'm going to keep at this. I'm going to send her some flowers and a nice card with a positive message wishing her well. Tell us what happened as a result of that.
And I got a text back saying, thank you for the flowers, you know. And so then I just started little bit by little bit to have dialogue with her, but I didn't want to be over eager. And I know that sounds really silly because the first thing you want to do when you connect with your kids after such a long time, 4 years is a long time, you're just so, you know, want more and more, and you're so excited, and you just and I remember going, okay, I think that's enough for today. I'm just going to call it off now and leave her wanting a bit more. And it sounds silly, it sounds like a little bit of a manipulation, but it's not. It's really just going, I don't want to lose any future opportunities.
I mean, that's so smart, Tony. Let it linger a little bit. Leave them wanting more. Let them process what just happened, right? So that they're thinking,
oh, that was a really positive interaction, and geez, I miss talking to my mum, and just allow her to feel those things and to, so yeah, I just would cut the communication off so that it left her wanting more. And then all of a sudden, you know, I'd just throw out an invitation. Oh, what are you doing? I'm down the beach walking the dog. Would you like to join us? And she'd just turn around and say yes. And so I didn't bring up, oh, it's been 6 months since I've seen you, or it's been 4 years since we spoke. You know, I just as if it never even happened, I'd just throw out an invite. And if she said no, or if she was busy, I'd just, yeah, no worries, another time, there's always another time, you know. And she just started taking up almost every single opportunity.
and now you and your youngest daughter have an amazing relationship, a great relationship.
She said to me recently that she knew about 2 years ago she had started putting it together, but obviously she didn't feel that she could, she felt that loyalty. That was huge for her. She felt like I was the bad person in the marital breakdown, and her dad was the good person, and she felt she had to be loyal to him. And so it took a long time for her to just see things for herself, and then to have these positive interactions with me.
Yeah, that loyalty factor within an alienated child is so powerful, but it also really proves what I have always believed from my own experiences, is that your child is in there. Yes, they're manipulated and they're brainwashed, but deep inside they want to have that love and acceptance, and they want to have love and acceptance in their life. They are in there, which just goes to show with your situation, anything is possible.
All of those decisions paid dividends.
Tony, I'm just so happy for you, and thank you so much for sharing your story about reuniting with both of your children after 4 years. And as a final thought, what kind of takeaways can you give to other parents based on your experiences?
There is hope. Everybody, there is a level of hope, and everyone's story is different, and everyone's breakthrough happens at a different time, different set of circumstances. But you know, the only reason I ever put nice posts on our Reunite group is just to remind people there is always hope. There really, truly is.
Well, Tony, thank you so much for sharing your incredible story. I mean, hats off to you. You did everything you possibly could, and you got some amazing results to show for it. So thank you so much for sharing your story of being reunited with both of your daughters after 4 years of silence. And thank you for everyone joining me here on Breakthroughs. I hope that this story shows you and gives you some real hope that reuniting is possible. It doesn't matter how long it's been, how severe it's been. Anything is possible. Tony is living proof of it, And me and my dad reuniting is also living proof of it. So never give up. Always look to educate yourself more and find ways to reconnect with your children. I'm Ryan Thomas, and I'll see you next time. Thanks so much.
Want specific advice from Ryan Thomas on how to handle your specific situation? Join Ryan's Reunite group coaching call and private Facebook community and get support and guidance from Ryan and others in a safe environment. Right now, for a limited time, you can join the Reunite group coaching calls and community for just $1 a month. And remember, you don't have to go it alone.